to... Hey, welcome back to License to View. This is a weekly podcast on the internet where two best friends get together to talk about pop culture news. I'm Jason. That's Zach. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just another busy week in pop culture.
Yeah, man. This is our second edition, basically, of our monthly wrap-ups. And we're wrapping up everything that we've been checking out, reading, watching, playing, consuming in the month of August.
Yes.
And we kind of just do a back and forth of hot, notable things we want to mention.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zach, man, let's just start.
Start it off? Pop it off? Okay. So, I'm going to start it off with a topic. I read the first volume, and now that I've read the first volume, I know I'm going to start the second volume in, probably the next day or so, because as soon as I started it, I couldn't fucking put it down. So I read the first Perfect Edition volume for Monster.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is the first 16 chapters. So I can't read this guy's stuff because every time I read his stuff, I'm like, God damn it! Now I have to finish the whole damn story. It's so the writing is so good, the characters are so good, and the mystery that he always uses to jumpstart his story is always so interesting.
Yeah, I think the great thing about Urasawa,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yes,
is that he writes really well, and they're interesting and deep thematic stories,
mm-hmm.
but also because he just is a great artist.
Yeah.
So you have this really great combo of good, not just a good manga story, but a good story,
mm-hmm.
coupled with really great, solid, what looks almost like a traditional style of manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, but it almost looks like what you would expect from a Miyazaki type of it's just fundamentally everything looks really good and unique and clear and stuff like that. So it's almost it's a really great manga style.
Yeah, and I think I think I definitely noticed it with this, comparing it to what I've read of and what I remember of the art style of 20th Century Boys is that his art style is very distinct between each one too, especially comparing the character designs from the 21st century or the 20th Century Boys to Tenma, and especially a lot of the Eastern Europeans, because a lot of Monster takes place in West Germany during the Cold War times, and so the way he draws Eastern Europeans a lot too, it's a very, you can still kind of tell it's his style, but there's still a unique flair that he puts on the specific character designs for characters from that region.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
completely. And Monster's great. The whole thing is great.
Yeah, Johan's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and I don't remember every facet of the story,
mm-hmm.
but from my memory, it gets pretty conspiracy-y, I believe.
Yeah, it kind of already is. I mean, the whole this one. I mean, 20th Century Boys dealt a lot with politics and stuff too, but I feel like this is especially the way it starts off, maybe branches out a lot more. But I mean, the beginning is all hospital politics and workplace
mm-hmm.
politics with him trying to be the chief surgeon and trying to bite the bullet essentially to try to get on the chief's good graces, and then he finally realizes that that's not any way to live a life, and especially not as a surgeon, where he's not saving people's lives, he's just doing what the chief wants because the chief's an asshole and he has all the power in this situation. and then he decides to defy him, and it's also like a really interesting. It's a strange character arc for him as well, because that the moment where he decides to like defy his chief is like the moment where he decides like the kind of doctor he wants to finally be, and he realizes that like saving lives is important to him, and then he wraps around to him, in the future where his whole turnaround and his whole like changing of perspective as a person created this like or saved the life of this like terrible
Yeah.
terrible person.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't want to say anything because it spoils stuff, but from what I remember of like the twists and turns,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's obviously it's really well regarded
Mm-hmm.
in the manga world, anime world, and I think it's well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty quick to be the contrarian to popular things, because or not even contrarian, but that is completely part of my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
But also to quickly like not see the hype of something super duper hyped,
Mm-hmm.
and very little things that are well regarded by everybody do I watch and go, okay, yeah, I see exactly. Like it's not a very few things that really
Mm-hmm.
do that to me. Godfather, Back to the Future, Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And in the anime world, like Death Note, I didn't care for, didn't finish it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but then this Monster was one of the ones that actually like really I watched it and I read it and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I expected from one this guy who's great, and then also it was the same level of okay, this
Yeah.
is good. So
I
you
agree.
have
His
to
his his level of storytelling is definitely up there with like, as compared to like, comic level writers. I would say that like his writing is definitely up there with like actual like, novelists for sure. Like it feels
well
like
if
this
we're
could
gonna
easily just be like an actual just like fiction novel.
well if we're just gonna I mean if we're comparing him to the West,
Yeah.
it's like Ed Brubaker
Hmm.
type, Grant Morrison level, like the conversion
Yeah.
rate. Like these comic book writers who like write deep
Hmm.
stories, um, like these like superstar
Yeah.
writers who kind of do that. He has a really great show, a docu series show in Japan.
Mm.
I don't remember the exact name, but I think it's like Monpen,
Mm.
Manga Pen, or Man Pen, where he goes around and interviews famous mangaka
Huh.
about their process and
Hmm.
style, and it's like an hour long docu series episode each, whatever.
Interesting.
And you can find them on YouTube, and you can find them on like Vimeo or whatever, subbed obviously.
Hmm.
And I watched a couple episodes where he interviewed the creator of Golgo 13, and he interviewed the creator of, I believe, Sanctuary, which I love. And he's fascinated with the way other people create
Their stories.
manga.
Interesting.
So when you look at his art, you're like, okay, I understand why your stuff is so good, because you also just like really care about the way the product is made,
Yeah.
and the story is told. And I haven't seen every episode of the show,
Hmm.
but what I have seen, like 5 or 6 episodes, really really fascinating, really
Interesting.
really 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 great
I
show.
definitely.
It reminds me of the YouTube channel called Comic Kayfabe,
Hmm.
which is a YouTube channel by two indie comic book guys
Hmm.
who have overhead camera, and they break down like issues, like famous issues of comics or favorite stories of comics, and they break down like panel sizing and panel art and
Hmm.
line work and all this kind of stuff, because they're both artists and writers.
Hmm.
And it's like you see like behind the scenes of something that you think and it's the equivalent of that, but for manga, just in a higher value, higher budget type thing.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. That sounds super rad.
Well, the Go-Go 13 one's great because Go-Go 13 has been going on for so long.
I don't think I've ever heard of Go-Go 13.
Oh man, it's super duper famous. Like, I think it started in the late '60s, maybe.
Hmm.
I think it started around the same time that Monkey Punch was doing Lupin. I
Wow.
could be wrong. It's around there, I believe. But it's about a hitman who goes around with a sniper rifle killing people,
Okay.
and it's been the same thing for like 40 years or whatever the fuck. And there's a
It's
movie
like
that came
what,
out, I
like
think,
Detective Conan that's still fucking going on?
yeah, but longer,
Yeah.
but longer. And there's a movie that came out, I think, in the mid '80s to late '80s. I could be wrong. That's really good, a really good movie. There's a couple shows. I think there's a show from like '05, '06
Okay.
that ran for like 50 episodes. Yeah, it's a really famous like seinen, crime
Interesting.
fiction story.
Okay.
I can't. It's not subbed anywhere, translated anywhere, really.
Oh, okay.
So you can't really read everything, but you can watch the show, watch the movie. You could probably find some scanlations here or there if you
Okay.
want to read scattered shit. But you know, so
Yeah.
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with the first thing that I was doing
Okay.
this month. Um, I watched the first 5 seasons of this show like in a burst,
Okay.
and it's a show that I loved as a kid that I would watch on Nick at Night growing up.
Dragon
And
Josh.
no, I mean, Nick at Night, dude. Not on air when I was a kid. Nick at Night, and then I think later I was in TV Land when I got older, I believe.
Hmm.
But Cheers, I watched the first 5 seasons of Cheers, and I was a huge fan as a kid, and it was a show that I watched on rerun, obviously,
Hmm.
and I never really knew that there's a story per season because they just would rerun random episodes.
Right.
So finally seeing the show really like in order for the first time,
Hmm.
uh, really enjoyed watching the first 5. There's like 10, 11 seasons.
Yeah.
I only watched the first 5 because apparently there's a character who's played by Shelley Long, who's the love interest in the show for Ted Danson. And after season 5, her character leaves. And then after she leaves, the show pivots from being this like rom com in a bar between these two guys
Hmm.
to being an ensemble show taking place in the bar.
Okay.
And I watched the first episode, and they replaced her with Kirstie Alley,
Hmm.
and it was fine. But I haven't done. I watched too much too fast,
Right.
so I didn't want to. I burnt out a little bit, so I'm on pause right now.
Gotcha.
But the first 5 seasons of Cheers, um, and it's so good, dude. It's such a great. I was watching it all the whole time, like every day. Just turn it on, watch it.
So this is what I was. So Cheers only takes place in the bar, right? Like that's the only set they have.
90%,
So
95%.
there are some moments where they ventured out, but not a lot.
Yeah,
It basically
pretty
just
much.
takes place in the bar.
Yeah, there's the main bar, which has the tap room. There's Sam's office, who's Ted Danson's character,
Okay.
which is a different set that leads into the tap room. There's 2 bathrooms, which are pretty much the same room, just flipped. And they have a back like pool table area,
Okay.
and they've gone to characters' houses before,
Okay.
which is pretty much just a room. So they go to other places, but it's very rare.
Chelsea
So
Grammer's
it's
in that
most
show too, right? Because he's
he comes in
Frasier, right?
season 3. He comes in
Okay.
as Shelley Long's new boyfriend after she's dating Ted Danson,
Okay.
and then she breaks up with him and leaves him at the altar. And then he's a psychiatrist, and then he comes back and he's a broken man.
No.
And then from then on, he becomes kind of a main character, and then that leads into Frasier, after the show's over.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't really watch a ton as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
Frasier. I mean, it's much smarter jokes,
Mm-hmm.
much smarter jokes than what the other crew of Cheers does.
Okay.
Like it's a different level. Like the Shelley Long's character Diane and Frasier bring like this like intellectual humor because they're like ritzy people, and the rest of the cast is like these like mailmen, like accountant, baseball player.
Yeah.
So it's like different type of humor, and a lot of the humor comes from like this like different. It's like altering class thing where Frasier's a ritzy guy, and then Diane's a ritzy girl, who come from like rich families, and it's like this culture shock of like, she has to work in a bar, but she's never worked in a bar before, and she doesn't understand sports or why people care about Boston sports or whatever, and that's kind of where the humor is born out of. but it's a fun show. You know, it's
Okay.
clearly it's a great show. Ran for like 11 fucking years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna go back to it anytime soon, but I enjoyed the 5 seasons that I did watch in the span of like a week and a half.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I was checking out.
Okay. Next thing I was checking out was that I watched a movie. It was a CGI anime movie. I feel like I'd seen it a bunch, but I'd never actually just sat down to watch it. And then I don't know what compelled me to watch it, but I think I was just browsing through Amazon Prime one day, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it on. So I put on Harlock, Space Pirate.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Um, so you've seen the CGI movie then?
I've seen the CGI movie and I've seen the original anime.
Okay. I
Yeah.
After watching this movie, I want to check out the anime because I like.
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 anime. I think.
I don't know. I've seen it. I know there's at least one, but
Yeah, there's the old like 70s
yeah,
anime, 80s anime. And I think there's one from like the 2000s too, I believe.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Space Captain Harlock.
Yeah, but I like the world a lot. I like Harlock as a character. I think it's really. I think
Yeah.
that's super dope. Like all that stuff and all the back, back world building stuff with like him having like this dark matter ship that he has like an alien companion and all that
Yeah.
shit. Like all that shit's super rad.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of the name of his ship. Don't tell me. The name of the
Remember
ship.
the name of this ship?
Fucking. Is it fucking?
I want to say Nebuchadnezzar, but that's fucking.
No, that's not it. It's not Nebuchadnezzar. Don't tell me when you find it though.
Okay, give me a sec.
Well, when you pull it up, tell me the first letter. How about that? I'll just meet me
Okay.
halfway.
Give me a sec.
Yeah. Captain. I'm trying to think.
No.
You just Google Captain Harlock ship.
Oh, okay. Starts with an A.
An A. Oh, Arcadia.
Yeah.
God, I see. I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. The ship design's great too. The
Yeah,
ship
it's
is like
super-
so.
the giant
It's
skull
like such
and all
a
that shit, and
such a fucking like 70s anime ship.
yeah, and I love the it's got the really good the like future mixed with like the steampunk type
Yeah.
of world going on because it's like they're fucking traveling around outer space, but yet he's like piloting this giant ship like it's a pirate ship, and he's got like a ship wheel. But then he's got other people that are like at computer monitors, and so like the weird mix of like old and new.
Well, he has like a
Static.
fucking like a sword that's also a beam,
Yeah.
like a blaster. It's like why the fuck do you have a sword but also like a physical sword that's also a gun?
Yeah.
Like it's like it just makes no sense. It makes sense in anime world.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was younger, like in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I first watched the show.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, he looks cool, and I couldn't pick which one to watch at the time. I wanted to watch, excuse me, Space Battleship Yamato.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called? Space
I
Battleship
think
Yamato.
so. Yeah.
Yamato. I know for sure it's called Yamato, or Harlock.
Mm-hmm.
I was like trying to pick which one I wanted to watch because I think they're both the same era. They both have kind of a similar art style, space opera, like classic space opera.
Yeah.
But I ended up going for this one because when did anime come out? The CG anime? Did it say a year?
I think it's like I wanted to say it was like early 2000s.
It was like 09?
Oh, never mind. It was like 2013.
Okay.
Pretty
I thought
recent, I guess.
there's another one. There was something from like the 2000. Maybe there's something from the 2000s. Something really like that kicked off my interest in this over Yamato that made me want to watch this first.
I don't know.
Let me look at anime. Here we go. TV series. 78 was when the first came out. So I don't know. Never mind. Whatever. It's fine. I like it a lot though.
Yeah, I had a super fun time with it. I liked it a lot. I liked all the, I like the design choices. I like their like battle suits that all the pirates wear and all that stuff. Super
Yeah.
good. Some of the characters in it are kind of annoying, like outside of Harlock, like
That fucking his one guy on his ship.
which guy?
His like the one weird looking fucking guy.
Oh, he wasn't that bad. I was more thinking of the fucking main guy's brother, who's like the antagonist of the whole thing.
Yeah. What's the girl's name? The girl Harlock. She's in the movie, right? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
you the blonde girl.
Yeah, the girl who also has the
Yeah,
skeleton outfit. I
I
can't
can't
remember her
remember what
name.
her name is. I can't remember.
It's fine. I just had it pulled up too and I exit out of it. But
Yeah.
there was a really sick Harlock figure statue that came out last year. It was like really sweet looking. It was like $1,500,
Damn, dude.
but it looks sick though.
Some of those figs, man. They look so
Dude,
sick, but so expensive. Well, it was like I don't know if you saw it, but it was like I was watching one of the Trash Chase After Dark episodes, and they got like an Attack on Titan fig.
mm-hmm.
That was like Aaron and Rainer facing off, and it's like a fucking huge ass statue. I can't remember what company it's from, but like I remember they had like the link in the YouTube video for the stream, and I like looked it up, and it was like a fucking $1,300 statue.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who are the
I've
people
looked
that are
into it, man.
buying these like $1,000 statues?
Dude, you go on YouTube.
Yeah.
You see these dudes there's a guy I was watching who only collects anime statues,
Mm-hmm.
and there are two types of channels I would watch for high end collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
There's like hot toys collectors, and there's like guys who collect um, like American like comic book
Mm-hmm.
statues, right? So high end statues of superheroes or whatever. They're around the same price. And then there's people who collect only anime statues that I watch on YouTube. And there's one guy, it's like an Asian dude,
Mm-hmm.
who has like glass cases like I do with these Detolfs,
Yeah.
like full of like Naruto and like Dragon Ball, like these like expensive ass like, you know, 13 inches massive fucking statues. And I was like, man, maybe I need to dive into the game, see how much it costs, see what I need to do. Yeah, you might as well get a fucking car payment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, some of these statues are like, yeah, I'd rather just put a down payment on the car than like buy these statues. Like they look cool, but like I don't know. I just could never see myself like sinking that much. Like there are some like right now because I'll get into this later, but I've already told you this, but I'm also playing Persona. And while I'm playing this, I was like, damn, dude, like I want a Persona statue, and I started looking some of them up, and like
Mm-hmm.
Persona, I think it's just because it's super popular, but like the bare bones, like the cheapest I've seen is like 80, and like the really good statues are like most of them are like
Yeah.
$500 to $600,
Well, look,
and I
man.
like
I
hesitate like thinking about spending that much on a statue.
Well, here's the thing, man. I thought that it took me a long time to make the jump from $100
Mm-hmm.
being the highest to like I spent $250 on a statue one time,
Yeah.
like a Wolverine statue. Um, I think it was a Danger Room Kotobukiya statue.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 200, 250 or something like that. And that took me like that was a big like
Yeah.
psych up to buy that. I was like, right, and that was like years ago. So then when I started going, okay, I want to buy Hot Toys. You can't play the Hot Toy game if you're not willing to spend
Right.
at least 250, right? You just can't. It's not possible. Especially if you want to buy old Hot Toys.
Yeah.
So when I bought my Vader or my Qui-Gon or my 3-0 Rambo 3 figure,
Mm-hmm.
which is 200 retail, you're just learning to drop money, right?
Yeah.
And like 3-0, I sold that Rambo figure already, but 3-0, the company that made the Rambo 3 6-inch figure or six scale, just released the pre-orders for First Blood Rambo,
Oh,
and I'm like, well, no, I have to get that one,
it's First Blood,
you
baby.
know. Yeah, and then I think Zach, once you spend your first $400 like I have on one
Yeah, I still
toy,
haven't spent that much. Like I think the most I spent was 200, which I sent to you already. She's already back there, but it's the my waifu from Fate, which I spent like she was $200 for me to get, and I was like, I think that's the most I've ever spent on a statue because even when we were going to cons and stuff like that, I think most of the time I wouldn't spend more than like I think the most I ever spent for a statue at a con was like $80.
God damn it, I have this Goku that I bought
Mm-hmm.
on accident a few weeks ago. A manga dimension Super Saiyan Goku
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
from
just see him.
Frieza,
He just fell.
but he keeps fucking falling.
Yeah.
He keeps fucking falling. Literally, I put them up like 17 times.
Jeez.
The stand just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
80 $80 figure.
Blows,
Fucking
man.
ridiculous. So, no, I think for your figure that you show that Fate figure,
Mm-hmm.
anime figures are hard because
Yeah.
they're so expensive for so little.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, for me, I know you like a lot of your stuff is like, like Hot Toys and stuff like that. And a lot of those are based around the fact that they're like posable and,
Yeah.
they've got the joints and whatnot. I don't know. For me, I don't typically like those kind of statues too much because for me, I've always had problems with finding poses that work for me, and also, I don't know, for me, whenever I usually try to set them up, I usually feel like they're, and maybe I'm just bad at like placing like Figma and stuff like that, but like I've always felt like I've never been able to like keep them on like steady ground. Like the one that I have that has worked well for me is the Cyclops one that I got at the toy convention. Oh, shit,
Yeah.
that was like
But the
fucking
difference is
years.
that's an American toy,
Yeah.
though. I noticed that like from buying SH Figure Arts Kamen Rider toys,
Hmm.
like I can get them to stand on their own on a shelf,
Hmm.
but I really needed like stands
Yeah.
to keep them proper. And I think the problem I have with Japanese figures
Hmm.
is that, and this is just like from my personal experience.
Hmm.
A lot of the stuff that you can get some really nice stuff for like $50,
Hmm.
like $50 like PVC
Yeah.
statues or whatever that look great and they're cool and they're like 9 to 10 inches maybe
Yeah.
8 inches maybe and they're decent price for what they are
Hmm.
and or it'll be $50 for like a 3 inch figure,
Yeah.
or it'll be $80 for a Nendroid, which is like, to me, I will never buy a Nendroid figure. And I think you have one,
I
right?
have a couple of them. Yeah.
I don't. I will never buy one. I think they look really great, but to me, as a toy collector,
Hmm.
they are the absolute biggest waste of money for size to money ratio.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing in the anime figure community for sure is the varying price levels, and there's not like a consistent. I don't know. I mean, I guess there might not be in like the Western, you know, pop culture scene either.
Well, straight up, dude. There's a if you go in Big Bad Toy Store now, obviously they import
Mm.
increased prices, but just in general from retail prices for some of these statues, like there'll be a One Piece statue, like the POP Portrait of Pirates figure statues or
Hmm.
whatever for One Piece, they'll be like 250 for 8 inch figure
Yeah.
statue, and to me that's like horrendous.
Yeah.
That's horrendous pricing for a figure
Yeah.
or even a statue, whatever you want to call it. When I say figure, I just mean like a fucking product,
Yeah.
right? Non-posable based
Hmm.
statue. That's a terrible price to product rate to like get back ratio,
Yeah.
right? But I can spend $200 and get a 12 inch tall First Blood Rambo with real goods cloth figures and AK or whatever,
Yeah.
M16 and knife and blood effects and bow and arrow or whatever. I can get all that for $200,
Right.
or spend 250 for a fucking white beard that's maybe 9 inch tall.
Yeah.
The import figures, there's no like, it makes no fucking sense. You can go buy. I quit buying SH Figure Arts Tokusatsu toys like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai because I had a ton.
Hmm.
If you remember exactly when we were going to cons, I was buying like 5 or 6 rider toys at a time in Atlanta or wherever we were going. But each one of those cost me like $80 a pop.
Yeah.
It's 6 inches and it's like super lightweight and super. They're durable, but not durable enough for me to like fuck around with.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, but also most of the things I like are American
Yeah.
Western properties. So if you like mostly anime stuff, you kind of are obviously gonna buy
Yeah.
more anime shit. But most of my toys I have currently I haven't sold off are Ghostbusters or you know bobbleheads or fucking
Yeah.
American shit. You know what I mean? NECA stuff or whatever.
Yeah. No, I feel you for sure.
Um, anything else you want to say about Harlock?
No, that's it.
Cool. Um, next thing I want to talk about.
Lay it on me.
was I texted you when this happened, but AEW,
Oh yeah.
All Elite Wrestling, officially is the home for CM Punk. And to be soon, from what we expect, to be the home of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And I had thoughts. I watched his
Lay them on
opening,
me,
his
because I've heard, you told me, and I'd heard that CM Punk was back, but I hadn't heard anything about like, did he actually compete, or was it
no,
just like,
not
I'm
yet.
here, bitches?
His first match will be at pay per view coming up.
Okay.
So I watched his like debut with my fiance, and I actually missed him walking out of the Titantron. Cause I was trying to get the stream from my phone to the TV because the TBS or the TNT app sucks dick.
Yeah.
So I ended up catching it when he was already like in the crowd hugging people, and I watched him cut the promo, and I go on Instagram and I go on YouTube, and people love this guy,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. I get it. He's an attractive, like in a wrestling persona, like attractive character. You want to like, he says what he thinks. Has cool tattoos, his cool name. Very clearly really inspired by New Japan
Mhm.
and Japanese wrestling, and so he cut a really good promo, and he cut a promo recently at this past Dynamite, I believe, and he's great on the mic, right? And 8 months ago or so, I was on a Reddit forum for the Squared Circle, which is the wrestling Reddit,
Mhm.
and someone posed a question about CM Punk, being like, was he actually good? Like, was he actually a good professional wrestler, or is it just that people really hyped for him? And
I don't
my
know. I think he
comment in
had
this
really good
group,
mic skills for sure.
well, my comment was in the group, and I put it on a YouTube video too recently, was like, he's fantastic on the microphone.
Yeah.
Like, once in a lifetime ability on the mic.
Yeah.
But in the ring, I was never overtly impressed by his athleticism in the ring.
Mm, I definitely wasn't when he was on ECW. I think he got better as a performer once he moved into the main title card, and once he, dropped his pipe bomb and whatnot, and he started getting a lot more play on like the main card, around that area of like NXT and or the beginnings of NXT and whatnot, when they was like they didn't know what the fuck they were doing with NXT, and he basically like took him over, and he did his whole faction thing with them and whatnot, and he was a heel for a really long time. I think that. Um, I mean, clearly his mic skills are like the main selling point for him because he's godlike on the mic.
Yeah.
But I really don't think his athletic ability in the ring is like that far off. From what I remember, like I was never severely disappointed with the matches that he would put on in the ring.
I think my personal opinion, and CM Punk's a hot topic amongst wrestling fans. I think he's overrated a lot,
Okay.
right? I think he's a good wrestler. I think it's a good gimmick and a good character, and he's great on the microphone.
Mm.
But I think the allure of CM Punk for me vanished because I was watching Japanese wrestling,
Mm.
and so much of his move set is Japanese wrestling, including his finishing move,
Mm.
which he just completely yoinked from another wrestler.
Oh damn.
That he does so much Japanese stuff that I think if you don't watch pro wrestling or don't watch Japanese wrestling, or like you're an American fan or an English fan who only watches WWE,
Mm-hmm.
he is like super unique.
Yeah.
But in a world now where at AEW you have like Malachi Black, these guys who are striking like kind of guys, I just don't know if the ring. I don't know if he can pull it off. And I hope he does because I think it's great for their business. I think it's great for fans to be able to watch, like WWE fans who are lapsed fans or fans who love him because he's so beloved by people,
Mm.
will watch a different company for fucking him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like I always thought that American Dragon Danielson was always a better wrestler. Like I was never like CM Punk's gimmick is like I'm best in the world. I never once thought that. Brian Daniels or whatever the fuck his name is in WWE, Daniel Bryan, was always a better athlete.
I
Was
can't
always a
remember who
better
was
wrestler.
it. CM Punk's was he the best in the world, or was he the best in the world at what I do? Because I thought,
He's just best in the world.
because I remember he had his conflict with Jericho, because Jericho also claims to be the best in the world.
Well, they both. He says best in the world. What I do, but his animations like it's the best in the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm best in the world. He clobbering time, all kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
And like I never once believed that. Like if he wrestled Kenny right now, like, even Kenny, if it was 7 years ago when Omega, they're both the same age, 35 years old or whatever the fuck, Omega out wrestles him just athletically. It's not even close. What people are doing nowadays out fucking shines him.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And now, he I'm not saying he can't put on good matches. I'm not saying that because I love traditional old school fucking just beat 'em up storytelling. I love that shit. That's all Christian Cage does. I love that stuff.
Now.
Yeah, and that's Christian Cage. That's all ring theory, and I'm all about that. So if he can do that, he looks in great shape. Clearly,
I was hoping so. Yeah, because I think we were talking about that a couple weeks ago when it was rumored that he was going to be coming back. That we weren't sure about what his actual physicality was going to be.
I had high hopes because he looked great in both those his UFC fights. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he got fucked. Right? He's not a fighter. That's fine. He tried. I respect it.
Yeah.
But he looked great. Now, if he looked that good in his fucking WWE days, it would have been fantastic because he didn't really look like he was built at all.
Yeah.
He looks solid now. He doesn't look big. He doesn't look like he's yoked up. He looks like a regular guy, but he's like really fit.
Yeah.
And that's great, right? But now next to someone who's on the juice, it's a little different. But I was explaining to my fiance, like, and I was showing her clips back and forth while he was cutting a promo, like showing him his finisher and showing her the GTS, and then showing her the actual person who created it. And it was really like it rubbed her the wrong way because she's not even a wrestling fan. Because I don't know, Zach, if you know who created the move.
I feel like you told me before, but I can't remember.
Or who's credited for making the move, like, So Kenta, who is a Japanese wrestler, he's in New Japan right now. He did some time in NXT, then wasn't that great. He's originally known like really big for wrestling in Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, which was a promotion that Misawa, who's a legendary Japanese wrestler, he left All Japan, made his own business. That was Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay. And Kenta was like one of his young guys who was becoming a big star. So Kenta is 40. I think CM Punk is 42.
Okay.
42. Yeah, he's 42. And all these American dudes, from what I understand, Ring of Honor guys, all these indie guys, just love Japanese wrestling and watch Japanese wrestling. Kenta's finisher is a GTS. He made the move up. And all of a sudden, CM Punk's finisher is the GTS. Kenta kicks a lot of people and does PKs. What does CM Punk do? A lot of kicks and some PKs. And when you learn that, for me personally, and maybe I'm biased because I'm also Asian, I was like, another white guy just stealing my fucking people's shit. I'm not even Japanese, but like fucking steal my dude's stuff, But then I'm like, or last example before I move on. In his promo, even in the pipe bomb, what does CM Punk do in the pipe bomb? He sits down.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's not a role breaking thing. People do it all the time. Except that Kenta and his partner Noah Shibata would sit down in the ring before matches in 2004. And you're like, oh man, like how much of the gimmick is just stuff stolen from someone else. It's never been confirmed. Kenta has poked fun at him on Twitter, and now that there's the forbidden door, quote unquote, is open amongst AEW and New Japan. They're working together. They're doing matches together. And Kenta showed up on AEW TV. Now everyone's commenting on Facebook when his premiere was like, "Oh man, CM Punk versus so and so," and I'm just like commenting in the group, being like, "I can't wait till he wrestles Kenta, so we can finally see whose GTS is actually the real one," and people get butthurt. It's a troll move, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's the same thing we started talking about with fucking with the Death Note and stuff, like the allure
Yeah.
of CM Punk. Can you imagine, dude, for 7 fucking years, every time he comes up, he like, where's he gonna go? CM Punk said this. I'm over it. I'm just over it. I just don't care. Just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, until he come on CW or come on to AEW, I don't think I'd heard anything about him since he'd done his UFC stuff. So he kind of just vanished
Well,
from the
that's
face
just
of the earth.
because you're not. That's just because you're not dialed into the wrestling world.
Well, that's true.
He would like he stoked. He was living off 7 years, living off fucking where he's gonna go. Like it was like so fucking annoying. It was so fucking annoying. And every video was someone's like, "Bring CM Punk's back. Bring CM Punk to WWE." CM Punk. Now he's back. I'm so fucking glad that fucking people will just shut the fuck up and he can just wrestle and people can either love it or be like he's overrated and we can just go back to equilibrium in a world where he can just retire at some point and be done.
There you go.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Fair enough. Well, then the next thing I checked out then is a topic, Jason, that you're gonna love to talk about. I know 100% that you are gonna enjoy that we talk about this because I watched the rebuild of Evangelion movies, all four
Mm-hmm.
now that are out.
Yeah.
Um, the first ones I hadn't seen any of these, especially the new one just came out, but I hadn't seen the first three since high school. I think it was around that time when I was like first like really getting into anime, and it was like I didn't realize that like I should probably watch the Evangelion series before I watch the movies, but I just watched the
Mm,
movies because I knew it'd be quicker.
right.
Uh, and I realized after rewatching this is that like I kind of remember what happened in the first movie. I didn't remember what happened in the second movie at all. Like shit was happening in the second movie. I was like, I don't remember any of this shit. And then the third
Yeah.
movie happened, and I was like, everybody says this is the worst one, but like I remember everything that happened in this movie.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
um I thought that you could. I thought that you didn't have to watch the show to watch the movies.
um, it's like yes and no. Um, I mean, it's I mean, I would say especially after watching the latest one, I think you have a better context and understanding of like what Anno's trying to do with Evangelion, and especially like with these movies. If you like have the context of like the original series and like the end of Eva and all that kind of stuff, and you see what Ava was, and the rebuild movies, especially the last one, are kind of like his answer to what he thinks Evangelion is like in the current world and like how it affected the zeitgeist of like anime and weeb culture in general,
Yeah.
and like his kind of it's also his response to that, and it's also Evangelion's always been known to be super autobiographical, so there's a lot of him talking to himself and talking through his problems, and you know kind of hints at to what his mental and emotional state is at like different points in his life, depending on where the Avery series falls in his life. You can kind of take a glimpse of like where he is at mentally. Um,
Yeah.
and if you take that into consideration, then like the latest movie is like very clear that he's a very happy person and content with his life, and more power to him for that. So
So with that being said,
yeah,
uh, how'd you like it? How'd you like it?
I liked it a lot. I liked the fourth movie a lot. And I think everybody that really hates the third movie, and the big complaint about the third movie is that everybody always talks about there's so much lost potential after the second movie. You get like this, there's like a mini trailer that almost plays at the end of the second movie that like kind of hinted at what the third movie was going to be, and then we got the third movie and it like is none of that shit, and everybody was super
Right.
butthurt about that because they're like, what about all this cool stuff? And I was like, it's a minute of footage, like calm the fuck down. Like clearly he has a different plan in mind, and it's 10 years after the third movie was released, but I think what he was able to accomplish in this last movie makes the third movie look a lot better. And there's also stuff that I just really like in this movie, especially like the back half of the movie is becomes like super meta at certain points, and it's like, you know, you can clearly see that like he puts his love of like tokusatsu and like Ultraman and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like, you know, kaiju battles and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, you know, not to get too heavy into spoilers, but there's one point where like Shinji's having like his final confrontation against like the actual like antagonist of this movie series that you basically figure out is like the person that is, you know, the one he's in conflict with, and you know where he's trying to resolve the conflict. And they basically have like a kaiju battle on a soundstage, which is like interesting to see. And it's like the way they use CG anime for that point too, where it's like at one point it's like they're like fighting in this city, and you're like, this looks not good. Like this looks fake. Like what's going on? And then you kind of realize that like it's supposed to emulate a sound stage, and those are supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
like fake looking buildings. And so when you get that aspect to it, and I like realize that like there's literally one point where like Shinji gets thrown back in his mech, and he like literally hits like the matte painting that's supposed to be like the skyline for the city. Um, so you kind of he hits like really deep into that meta stuff, and I really enjoyed that a lot. I really had a
Right.
good time with it. I liked, you know, where the movie ends up is, you know, it is the end of Evangelion essentially, and I really like that a lot. That he really kind of put a capper on the whole universe.
I. This is not really a comment on Ava, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess kind of. And this is just purely from outside looking in,
Yeah.
which is like how many times do we give someone a chance to end something? This is three endings, right?
This is the third
You have the,
ending. Yeah.
you have the anime ending. You have the hold on, and Ava's the real ending, and then now you have this ending. Now I'm sure
Well,
there's a reason for it.
I guess if you want to take it from that aspect, you would say that, you know, there's the original anime, and then there's End of
Yeah,
Ava, which is like the real ending. But then these movies
yeah,
are like technically
a
their own
separate
thing.
thing.
They're
Yeah,
technically separate, but
yeah,
this definitely, the way this movie ends is definitely like this is him saying like I'm done with Evangelion essentially.
yeah. Because just for me,
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, I'm not watching anything. Purely because I just don't. No one else gets three chances to end something. Obviously, if you made a ton of fucking money like this does, you get the chance. But as a fan, I'm kind of like, and I've only seen Ava the first movie. I've only seen that, right? And I've seen clips of the original anime, obviously, because I had Adult Swim as a kid, so everyone's seen the same fucking scene a billion fucking times. We've all seen that scene where they have juice or something, and they have like fucking cans of soda or some
Mm-hmm.
bullshit, or the scene where like, they're like in a desert or a forest or something. We've all seen that scene. I have no context with for what the fuck that scene's about, but I've seen that scene on Adult Swim 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Um, it just kind of makes me go like, man, like you fucked up the first ending for whatever reason. You were sad or you didn't have the money for it. Whatever the reason was,
It's
they
mostly that they
obviously.
didn't have the money for it.
You give me End the Ava. You have a guy jerk off to a girl in the bed. Okay, it's better than clapping people, I guess. And then you have this one, and I'm like, okay, like I just don't understand. And maybe it's because I'm just since I'm not a fan, I'm not putting the effort in to learn. But I'm kind of like, what's the point of this rebuild? Like, what's the point of it? It's a retelling, but also a different. Like, what's the point? Like,
I would say
is it
that
a different
it's
dimension or
I would
something
say
or what?
it's not a retelling of Evangelion. I think it's, for me it kind of felt like more of kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it's kind of Ano taking a retrospective on, you know, for him a work that is basically like defined his career, and like
Yeah,
what it means to him personally, like what it meant to, you know, anime culture in general, and you know how he views on his views on like where what message he's trying to give for like future Evangelion fans like going forward. So
yeah. I don't know, man. I'm glad that people seem to be really liking it, and I'm glad you dug it.
yeah,
I just I just saw it. I mean, I don't give a shit, but I saw it. And I was kind of like, I'm glad that it looks cool because I know they animate really well.
Yeah.
At least the first movie looked really good, and I
Yeah,
mean it'll
no,
be
I mean,
like
I think this new one really holds up a lot too. I think it looks really really good.
I'm just kind of over Hideki Anno. I mean, I'm kind of over him and like the way he makes stuff. And it's sad because I can't be over him because
I was about to say he's doing Kamen Rider.
he has hands in every. Well, he's doing Ultraman. He's
Well,
producing Kamen Rider,
He's
but
doing
like
Ultraman and he's doing Kamen Rider as well, right?
I think he's just producing Kamen Rider.
Oh, is he? I thought he was directing it.
Yeah, he's directing Ultraman. I believe he's just producing Kamen Rider. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But either way, if Hideki Anno's producing it, he's Steven Spielberging it. You know, it's gonna be the director being like, well, what does Anno want me to do?
Yeah.
Do I make Kamen Rider have a sack of little Kamen Riders in his leg? I just and the thing is too, I perfectly expect for the Toku stuff, I perfectly expect him to do what he does.
Yeah.
Right? And I hate that. And I absolutely hate that. Because I'm not a fan of his work.
Mm.
And it's not even saying that I wouldn't be if I watched Ava, but I have tried.
Mm-hmm.
And as I step into the world, I immediately get turned off by, at least from the show. I can't comment on the first movie because I don't remember. But when I've tried to watch the show, I'm immediately turned off by the clear, like nihilistic view of whatever it's going on. And I'm kind of turned off. But then I also know the ending because I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard the ending. So now I go, well, why the fuck do I watch the show? And then I hear, oh, then you have to watch the movie too. Well, then fucking, what's the fucking point? Now at the what? Now, oh, well, there's another thing too. Watch that ending instead. No,
Mm.
I'm not gonna do work. This should be a show. This would apply to if it was anything.
Yeah.
You know, if it was like, hey, like even with like fucking what was it? Like Fate Stay Night. I will never watch that shit, dude. I will never watch Fate because you can't tell me where to start, Zach. No one can tell me what to start.
I mean, I can tell you where to start.
But then you go, well, technically, this might spoil this, and then
I mean,
that might be
you can
the
just start where
prequel.
I started. That's fine.
But you just go watch Giguk's video, and he'll everything you
Don't
say.
watch
Is...
Giguk's video because the whole point of Giguk's video is that people can't agree.
Exactly.
But I can tell you as your friend where you should start.
Yeah, but it's I think that like if I was a big fan of this series,
Mm-hmm.
or just a casual fan, that's the best fucking thing of all time. Like the director comes back to like do what he wants to do. That's amazing. That's awesome. You know, it just so happens it's not what I care about. But if it was like a fucking like I don't fucking know, I don't know, Blade, you know, Del Toro comes back to do Blade 4.
Fuck, dude,
To finish it, where he comes back to do the proper Blade Trinity. Yeah, I would be there all fucking day. You know what I mean? Or like a proper Hellboy, like a Hellboy 3. I'd be there all day. So I completely understand why people are so hyped about it, obviously, but
yeah,
I just not for me. But I'm glad you dug it.
that's fair. Yeah. No, yeah.
How's it? Spoiler though. Spoiler. How the fuck did it end? What was the ending?
For the spoilers, basically, Shinji. I mean, one of the most satisfying things is he basically has like a conversation with his father, and he's basically like figuring out, you know, the cycle of mistreatment and whatnot of why Shinji's so messed up as a person is because his dad was also like not really understood by his parents, and that kind of like cycled onto him, and Shinji ended up basically stopping the cycle of and that's not violence, but it's like cycle of like destruction and like destructive habits that was going on, and he basically said like I don't know exactly how it happened because also Ava has a lot of like wooey woo shit that like some of it like goes over my head, but somehow he was able to like have the power to like remake the whole universe, and he basically like remade the universe and like took Ava's out of it. So he said like they fucking name dropped in it. He was like, it's a neon genesis of Evangelion. And I was like, you fucking dirty rat. You fucking name dropped in your final movie. But yeah, he like basically remakes the whole world, and he makes a world without Evangelion, and everybody's much happier. But then you also see that like in this remade world, for everybody to be happy in this world without Evangelion, you basically have this final scene where like all the main characters are not together, like they're all separated and like doing their separate lives, and
Yeah.
for them to all be happy, they basically have to stay apart from each other. Is like also
So is like, is Shinji like catching a football from his dad or something? Like what's?
no, he basically like is at a train station and he like has a big boobed girlfriend, and he's like it's also a part because it's also nice because basically when you see the last scene of him, he's like a grown man, and he like he has his girlfriend, whatever, and you see the other characters, and they're like on the other side of the train station, like separate from him, but you see like
Mm-hmm.
glimpses of them and whatnot. So
So Ray's there.
yeah, Ray's there, Calvary's there, Asuka's there,
Isn't Ray?
sitting down
Isn't
on the
Ray like his
bench.
mom or something?
What?
Isn't Ray like his mom or something?
It's super complicated, but yeah, she's like a clone of his mom or some shit. I don't
So how the fuck does that happen? Oh, never mind. It's
look.
fine.
You want to look? There are plenty of people that have like dissected Ava that are way smarter than me, and I've watched. I still don't understand like half the shit that's going on in fucking Ava.
Yeah. 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 I mean.
There's a lot of like lore and concepts and stuff like that like gets deep but doesn't get deep enough, and there's you get to the
Yeah.
end of it and it's like I'm not going to say it's the perfect movie. There's still a lot of questions that
Sure.
I had, a lot of stuff that went unanswered, but as a conclusion to Evangelion.
So real quick. So since you've seen everything,
Yeah,
what was so bad about Shinji's life? Like what did they? How did he get treated so bad?
the biggest thing is that his father abandoned him when he was a kid and basically like didn't even recognize him as a person. After his mom died when he was very little, his dad basically like sent him away and like didn't contact him or acknowledge him in any way, and that kind of messed with him socially and basically made him block himself off from the rest of the world. And then the start of Evangelion is his dad calls him back to pilot an Ava,
Mm.
and then he gets in as an Ava pilot. He gets into a bunch of situations where he gets almost killed, so that also like fucks him up.
I think that piece right there. Now I know that part. So
Yeah.
I was confirming there was more.
Yeah.
That right there never made sense to me.
Which part?
Never made sense to me.
Which part?
That why he's the series always turned me off because he's such a fucking wimp.
Yeah, the fucking getting the robot, Shinji.
Yeah, that whole and that like it's a joke, but to me I was
Yeah.
like, it was always like, yeah, why is he such a fucking wuss? Right? Oh, his life is hard. Like what, people have worse fucking lives. Like in I think as a lead character, I wasn't able to be sympathetic
Hmm.
to his plight.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I was kind of like, dude, your robot looks fucking sick. Like the best part, the robots look fucking sweet.
Dude, the robots look fucking.
The robots
sick
look
as hell.
sweet. I'm like, why the fuck? Just be there's a hot redhead chick. Fucking talk to her. Some blue hair girl, whatever the fuck.
You can talk
your
to
mom,
her too.
whatever.
She's like technically
Yeah,
your
there's
mom,
the-
but you can talk to her.
There's like some lady who's supposed to take care of you. She's hot. I mean,
Yeah.
take. To, I just and then like why real quick. Sorry, last thing. How in I haven't seen it in Ava. I've only seen the jerk off scene. Why is that in the movie?
What, the jerk off scene?
Yeah, why?
I don't entirely get it myself. I think it was basically in the fact that Shinji's whole character is that he's like trying to. I think they explain it well in the movies at some point where it's like they basically call it like the porcupine dilemma, where it's like because porcupines as creatures, when it gets cold, they want to huddle together, but they can't because they have the spines, and they basically like keep themselves away from each other, and they basically like take that as like his mental state, where it's he wants to be close to people and he wants to have human connections, but he is also because of the way that his father treated him when he was so young, he kind of imprinted in the fact that it's just easier to like not let anybody in. So a lot of it is like him trying to form connections with other people.
Right. I completely see how that translates to jizzing on some knocked out girl in a
Yeah,
hospital
I
bed.
think it's supposed to be some way to him have some sort of personal connection with Asuka, or
Oscar.
just because he
So
saw
I'm
some titties. I don't know.
Oscar. So that I'm close to you, I will
It might
now.
also just be because he saw her titties. Like I don't.
And this, yeah, it never made sense to me. Like,
I still don't get it. I don't think anybody's
yeah,
given me a proper explanation for like what that scene is supposed to be. So,
it honestly, like, it turned me off to the character even more. I was like, dude, this guy's a
well,
creep.
yeah, no, that movie in general makes Shinji look like a piece of shit. So,
It doesn't like that movie end with like them becoming like a ball of like fucking like
they
Naruto.
turn into Tang soda, yeah, or Tang juice.
It ends like Naruto, right? Where they want to become part of this like fucking massive like moon or something. Or was that Naruto? Like, is that what they wanted to do?
Oh well, yeah. I
Like
mean,
Madara's
basically,
thing or whatever.
the end of Evangelion is like it's like the the physical representation of the Human Instrumentality Project, which is a whole thing where it's trying to force humankind to evolve, and for some reason, when Shinji does it, everybody turns into one unified being with no barriers between each other, so everybody's in like one collective consciousness. So that's
Yeah.
why they're like all in a ball, because it's all of humanity's souls stuck together in like one cognitive
So and
thing.
why is he so powerful that he can do this?
It's something to do with like the angels and like the deep sea scrolls and like the way that Evangelions work in general. I'm telling you, dude, there's like too much shit that like I don't fully comprehend.
You're saying these things. And I'm like, what the fuck is, dude? This all sounds
Yeah,
like
this is
bullshit.
all shit that is just like
This
fucking
sounds like
thrown at you. You
bullshit.
got the fucking Human Instrumentality Project. You've got SEAL's objectives. You got Dead Sea Scrolls.
It
Like
just sounds like Arnold just fucking bullshit, and
he's
then
just
put it
like
on
it
TV.
just feels like he's definitely like pulling a lot of shit out of his hat.
Yeah. Well, hey, people enjoy it. That's all that
Yeah.
matters. The next thing I did was I mentioned it to you yesterday when we were playing our D&D game, but for the first time in I don't know 20 years, I watched Honey I Shrunk the Kids
Oh yeah. You did
because
tell me
it's
about
on
this.
Disney Plus, and I wanted to watch all of them before the new one came out, whenever that comes out. And it's really good. It's really good. I was really surprised. I thought that I liked it a lot as a kid. And I thought that maybe it was gonna be like kid nostalgia goggles.
Mm-hmm.
But I turned it on. I'm halfway through. I'm like, I was fucking impressed. Like, it's really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Moranis is really fucking funny. The next door neighbor parents of the other kids are really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids' chemistry is really great. And
That's
the
the one with
special effects is
the
great.
ant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the special effects are like killer.
They're pretty good, man.
Like, and having seen it not in 20 years and watching it through like almost 30-year-old lens, like guy lens,
Mm-hmm.
dude, fucking holds up. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I was like catching myself like laughing a lot, like obviously Rick Moranis, but like
Yeah.
it's so it made me want to watch the next two like right away. I haven't because I just know that the characters aren't big part. I think in the second movie, the same kids are in there. His Rick Moranis' kids are in the movie, but they're not a big part, I believe. And then in the third
I don't think
movie,
I've ever
it's a
seen
whole
the second
different
movie.
cast. I haven't seen the second movie ever. I've only seen the third movie.
Okay.
In the first movie, obviously. But I really enjoyed it, man. I had a good time. It makes me wish they had a 4K set because I would absolutely buy that shit because it looked really good, and then it's a good 20-minute build up, 25-minute build up before they even get shrunk.
How long is the movie? Is it like
I
90
don't
minutes?
know, 90 minutes maybe maybe a little more, I believe.
All right.
And it sets up everything so nicely. The whole story is compact
Mm-hmm.
and really well made, and it's this epic ass movie, and it's something beautiful about the premise of the movie.
Yeah.
It's such an epic ass movie that takes place in 2 yards. It takes place in 2 yards.
Yeah.
It's like such a small movie. Really, I think Rick Moranis goes to like there's like 3 other locations or some
Yeah.
bullshit, and then it's the 2 houses, and then the backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the effects for the backyard.
Yeah.
But like, it's so epic of a journey, but really takes place in fucking small ass area, and something about that it just allows for really great physical comedy of Rick Moranis to like be walking through the yard after he realizes that they got shrunk, and like try not to step on them, and like he makes the swing pulley where he's like going around the
Yeah.
yard with magnifying glass, and then eventually he tells his wife, and then it cuts to them, and they're both doing it. They're both like, and the neighbors are like, "What the fuck is going on with these people?" You know, and it's really, really funny. I had a great time watching it. So,
Nice.
what else do you got going on?
One of the other things was I read the first volume of another series that I bought called The Breaker, which is a Korean manhwa
Mm-hmm.
series. Have you heard of
Mm-hmm.
this?
Yeah, I see it, but I've never read it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, the basic premise is basically a guy shows up in a school to be a substitute teacher, and he basically finds this kid who's being bullied. And the kid wants him to train him because it turns out that this guy is like a secret martial art badass assassin. Um,
Oh.
so, the first part, I don't know how many chapters it is, but I can tell it's like only the first part of the story. But I really enjoyed it so far, and the art is fucking killer. It looks
Really?
so good.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember exactly who the author is off the top of my head, but like the way they draw action is so clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so good. Such a good time.
I mean, I know it's popular because every time I would go to a manga site, it was always like
Yeah,
recent updates, The Breaker, recent updates, Tower of God,
yeah.
recent updates, insert
Those manhwas, man,
manhwa.
they're always killing.
Yeah, solo leveling or whatever the fuck.
Solo leveling, I know, is like the big one right now. Yeah,
And I remember being like this, like I remember being like 8 years ago seeing The Breaker or
yeah.
some shit, and it's like, God, what the fuck is this thing? And I click on it, manhwa. Nah, I'm good, and I go back. No, I've never read it, but it sounds like kind of like Kenichi.
uh, yeah. I guess it's kind of similar to that. Um,
In the sense of like a student
I
who
would say
week
that,
learns
except
martial arts.
the kid is not as competent as Kenichi is. Like the
Okay.
kid is definitely like a kid that is like super sickly. Like he basically like wants the teacher to train him, and the teacher's like, "All right, like run 50 laps around the school."
Yeah.
He runs like 25 and like almost fucking dies. Like
Is there a tournament in it, or is it just him like fighting
they
off
definitely
bullies, or
hasn't
what's
gotten to
the?
like a tournament yet. It seems like there's definitely going to be a lot more stuff with like backstory of like why the teacher had to leave like the martial arts world, and like why he's basically like hiding out in the school. So it's like figuring out
Gotcha.
like why he's hiding out in the school and that kind of thing. Like the volume basically ended with him being accused of killing this other martial arts master, and the martial arts master student challenges the guy to a death duel basically, and basically ends with the building that they're fighting in being blown up, and then I don't know what happened.
Oh damn.
So I got to find volume 2 or figure out what fucking chapter I'm on, because that was the one part that I fucking hated, is that the chapters are not numbered in the volume. So I have no idea how many
Oh,
chapters.
you bought this?
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it.
Oh damn.
Um, I bought it from I can't remember what store I bought it from, but I went to um,
Who's publishing this?
hold on, let me find the volume.
Like, let's say, yeah, look, pull it up because it's a physical
Where did I put it
release.
at? Did I put it over here? There it is. Okay. Uh, let's see. Also, really good cover art. I really like it a lot. That pick is really good. Let's see. Publishing is.
I didn't know they were starting to print physical manhwa, like officially
Who is
licensed.
publishing?
Look at the spine.
Looks like A Blaze is publishing it.
I've never
A
heard of
Blaze.
them.
I've never heard of them either. But
That's cool though.
but yeah. So yeah, I have no idea how many volume or how many chapters I actually read, but I do want to read more because it's super engaging and I liked it a lot. Like the action is so clean, and I can definitely tell there's going to be a lot of like, it's definitely going to be like Kenichi, where there's going to be a lot of like weird martial arts powers that like don't make a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Like the first villain antagonist guy that I was telling you about, he has like a martial arts power that like his hands claws are like super hard and dense and can like
Yeah, yeah,
crush
yeah, yeah,
anything. And I think they call it like the golden claw technique or something like that. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, so we're gonna be like having a lot of like weird fucking powers showing up.
yeah. It sounds like some real kung fu shit.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Um, last thing for me,
Mm.
I'll bring up a couple more, but I'm gonna cut my list a little short.
Okay.
Uh, I finished the nonfiction book earlier the month called Wild and Crazy Guys, and it's a nonfiction book that kind of narrates and explains all of the big stand-up and sketch comedians, the guys from the 70s and the 80s.
Okay.
The ones that really kind of defined the era of the late 70s to the 80s. So it follows kind of the journey of like John Candy and Rick Moranis and Steve Martin and Belushi and Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And it kind of bounces around through the decade about like them. Well, I guess really through the mid 70s to through the 90s almost, of all those actors and comedians kind of like picking their movies, and Chevy Chase too, like picking their movies and what they're going to work on, and then going to SNL and all this different kind of stuff. And it's kind of the nonfiction journey of those people through the decade making the classic comedies that are classic now.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it because one, I wanted to read it, but coupled with, excuse me, this documentary and movie I watched about the National Lampoon, which is called God, what's it called? It's on Netflix. The movie. It's called Stupid and Incredibly Stupid and something. Um, Incredibly Stupid and Docile. No, Netflix Lampoon movie. Futile and Stupid Gesture. So it's based on a book, nonfiction book, and I read the book. I watched the film, which stars Will Forte, and then I watched the documentary based on the Lampoon, and that's called. Let me pull it up real quick. National Lampoon documentary, and that's called Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead, which is also based on a book, I believe, that I did buy, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh.
So I pretty much I watched these National Lampoon documentaries in the movie, which just dramatizes the creation of the National Lampoon, and it ties in directly to Wild and Crazy Guys, the book, because so many of the actors and comedians who helped define the 70s to 80s comedy boom era of those classic movies are all came from either the National Lampoon or SCTV in Canada, or were a mix of both. Like that whole first cast, pretty much all the big names of that first SNL cast were all National Lampoon alumni.
Okay.
You know, so it was a big crossover read for me and watch, and it kind of helped fill out my just more interesting, like, I don't know, not pop culture history, because I've been buying a lot of old Mad magazines and a lot of old National Lampoon issues. So I have a bunch of them just kind of waiting to be sleeved and packets and put into a whatever the fuck, whatever folder or binder or fucking magazine, comic book long box or whatever. I've been my new hobby to collect is like these magazines, and I just kind of wanted to dive into this history that I didn't know about, and the book Wild and Crazy Guys kind of adds more to that Lampoon knowledge.
Okay.
But also breaks down John Candy, which is really cool, and breaks down Eddie Murphy. That stuff I didn't know about Eddie Murphy, and it's a really good read if you care about any of those people, you know. And the big ones again are Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, Belushi, Aykroyd. I think that's it. I think those five. Candy, Rick Moranis is in there for a little bit. So those 7 or 6 people are pretty much the main topics of it.
Okay.
And if you care about any of those people or all of them, it's like a really good, quick nonfiction read. And I'm in my it's almost December, so I have to read about 24 more books to hit my reading goal for the year. So I'm trying to like read things that aren't boring that I like to read, and also but that also are quick reads.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the ones that was a quick read, and I like to read it. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads.
Oh, there you go.
It's a really good nonfiction book.
What dropped it down to
Um,
4?
well, nothing's perfect.
Fair enough.
So no, I think the only fives I give on Goodreads are like I think I've given like 1, 2, or 3 5s.
Okay.
I don't know what books they would be, but I don't give many. It's mostly 4s.
Yeah, that's fair.
4s or 3s.
I don't give
4s or
I don't
3s.
give perfect scores to a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't really. There's like in my mind, there's only like 10 5-star perfect movies,
Yeah.
and I don't know what they are except for like 3 right now. But like beyond Back to the Future, Matrix, and like Godfather,
Yeah.
I don't know. Empire Strikes Back, maybe I don't know. So, but that's all I did this month, really. I have a couple other things I can bring up next month, but um,
Okay.
those are the real big ones for sure.
Yeah, I mean the last thing that I had was that I watched Miyazaki's first movie,
Oh,
um,
Nazca,
which made me
right?
want to get back into, because I realized that I don't think they have the
It's
music.
Nazca, right?
The what?
It's Nazca, right?
No, it's Lupin.
Oh, you Castle,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
Castle of Calig
yeah,
Caligostro,
yeah.
Cagliostro, um, Castle of Cagliostro, which made me. I was watching this and I was like, God damn, dude, I want to start watching Lupin again because I started watching it a year or two ago, and I think I got like 15 episodes in, and I just stopped. But I know that Lupin series also are not connected, and I know Amazon has. It's not the newest one, but I think it's the one from like.
Part 5, right?
I think Amazon is part 5 or
Yeah,
part 4 maybe.
and it's 2018, isn't it?
Part 4 was 2015, and I think they have part
Okay.
4 because I think part 5. I'm not sure where part 5 is.
I think I was
Yeah,
just
because
guessing.
part 4 is Italy. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's the one they have on Amazon, and I can't remember what part 5 was. But I also know that because I was looking on my. I think I was looking on my anime tracking app. Um, I think there's also a new Lupin series that's supposed to come out like this year or next year or something like that
Oh, really?
that I want to watch too.
Yeah.
Because just watching this movie again, I just love Lupin so much. It's such a fun
Mm.
character, such a fun group dynamic, and like it feels like it's not like a traditional heist movie on like an Ocean's 11 or something like that. Lupin feels like a cross almost between like a heist movie and like Indiana Jones movie, which I really
Yeah.
enjoy a lot. Like especially with like the globe trotting aspect, like that feels so Indiana Jones to me.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's the part about Lupin I don't like.
the globe trotting stuff.
The encounter with potential supernatural stuff.
Uh, um, there really wasn't that in this movie.
Well, that's why I didn't watch the new movie.
Oh yeah. The new movie definitely has like the supernatural stuff.
That's the one I saw that in the trailer. I was like, I'm good.
It was still a fun
It,
movie.
like it looks. That's what turned me off to Scooby Doo, the new movie.
I thought you
I was
watched the
watching
new
it.
Scooby Doo movie.
I did, and I did watch. I was like, oh, here we go. It's awesome. It looks fantastic. Oh no,
No,
it was still a fun movie,
I
but
don't
like
know.
it
I
just kind
still
of like
really liked the new Lupin movie a lot. I mean, it. I think I said it at the time, but I mean, it really does remind me of like an Indiana Jones movie, especially that one. Like, I feel like that one borrows a lot from like Indiana Jones in general. Like, there's definitely a point where
yeah.
it's like he does like the three trials, basically like he does at like the end of the Last Crusade.
Hmm.
Um, which I still really enjoyed because like that's a fun concept for like getting to like your endpoint is like going through these various trials that
Yeah.
that you've got to solve. But the Castle of Cagliostro, um, it's just a fun movie, so fun. Um, yeah, I just don't have much else to say about it. It's just super fun. If you haven't watched it, I don't know if you have watched it yet, but if you haven't, like
I mean, I haven't seen it
I
in
definitely enjoy
15
watching
years.
it. Like it's still on Netflix, and it's just like a super fun watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in 15 years or so, and I was never a big fan of Lupin the III.
Mm.
I always liked it. I always thought it was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But the last thing I watched was the Lupin Conan crossover from like 2010 or something.
Mm.
That was the last time I watched a Lupin thing. I started the Fumiko.
Oh yeah,
What's her name? Is it Fumiko?
Her sides her
Her, I
spin-off series.
yeah, I started her show, and it opens up with like her like being typical like sexy girl. And I was like, I don't care, so I backed out of it, and I was like, I'll just watch something else, you know. And I just never really kind of dived into much beyond some of the manga that was published. I think Tokyo Pop had the manga, I think.
Yeah.
It then never finished, obviously. It just was never my super high on my list of like things that I was super duper gonna be dedicated to.
Mm.
It wasn't like City Hunter where I was like I'm gonna read and watch what I can of City Hunter, you know. Um, so, but I mean, he's a cool character alone. Like the character is cool.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes you. I watched the live action movie. I did do that.
I don't think I've even heard of that. What?
There's a live action movie that came out maybe 5 years ago.
Oh no,
I'm pretty sure the guy who plays Lupin is actually Kamen Rider Decade. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's a Kamen Rider.
He's got the 6 sideburns.
I don't think so. No.
Oh shit, dude! Lupin's got the heavy sideburns.
He does wear the 2014. He does wear the green or red jacket. I can't remember exactly which one.
I think I like his green jacket the most, but.
So, lead character is Shun Oguri, and he was in Crow Zero, which is great.
Okay.
He was in Godzilla vs Kong.
The fuck?
I think he plays the Japanese guy.
Oh, okay. Like the henchman guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to confirm if he's Kamen Rider or not. I feel like he's Kamen Rider. I feel like he was a Kamen Rider.
Hmm.
I'm looking. Shun Oguri, Kamen Rider.
Ooh.
He was Kabuto? Alright, hold on. I can do one more quick Reddit search.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything, so maybe I'm completely fucking wrong. I swear he was a Kamen Rider, dude.
You would know more than I would, that's for sure.
I type his name in and it automatically like puts up the fact that he's Kamen Rider.
It puts in that he was a Kamen Rider?
It says he was like when I type his name in, but I could just be fucked up. I don't know. Whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
He's in Crow Zero, and he was really good in Crow Zero.
Okay.
So I will say that. Oh, he was also the voice of Captain Harlock in the movie.
Oh shit, dude, for real?
That's
pretty
he's
dope.
the voice of Captain Harlock. Yeah. And he plays the main character in Space Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Probably live action version, probably.
The
obviously.
designer guy?
Yeah, the car designer.
Okay.
Main character. Okay, maybe he wasn't a Kamen Rider. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Hey, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Zach, anything else you want to mention before we end the podcast this week, man?
No, that's it for me, man. Anything from you?
I'll just do briefly. I watched Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers for the first time ever. They're both really fun movies, and they were funny. I avoided them for years because I never really liked Ben Stiller. They were fun movies, and I had a good time watching them. I rewatched Airheads, which is a fantastic movie of Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi and Joe
Versus the volcano.
Joe Mantegna.
Oh.
So it's always a fun time. And then I watched for the first time since I was 8 years old a movie called Airborne, which is a extreme sports movie from the early 90s about a surfer / rollerblader from California whose parents work with animals and they have to go visit Australia, I believe. So they have to send their son to live with his cousin, Seth Green.
Okay.
Seth Green? Robot Chicken Seth Green, right? To live with his cousin in Cincinnati. So you have the surfer boy, pretty boy from Cali, moving to frozen hockey town. and he gets bullied by Jack Black
He gets
and some
bullied by
other.
Jack Black.
Yeah, Jack Black's a bully and some other fucking guy, and they bully him, and then he meets a girl, and the girl is the sister to the big bully, right?
And then he
And they're
bangs
like,
the sister.
it's implying,
Okay.
but eventually, for the first half of the movie, they're just bullying him because he's from California, and he's like really like laid back, and like just like a fucking chill dude, and he plays hockey with them, and they like fuck him up. He's like, yo, just relax, man. And then in the beginning of the movie, you see him rollerblading one time. So you forget that it's a rollerblading movie. It's called Airborne. The cover of the movie is him on rollerblades. So halfway through the movie, he goes, "Oh, I got a package for my parents. I completely forgot these." And they send him his rollerblades. So halfway through the movie, he starts rollerblading. And he's doing sick tricks all through. Now,
So wait,
it
are they
was
playing
winter.
hockey or are they playing street hawk?
They were playing hockey because it was winter.
Okay.
And then now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's not. And now
All of a
they're
sudden it's
playing,
not winter and now they're playing
yeah,
street hawk.
street hockey. But
Okay.
he's also riding around Cincinnati on his rollerblades, just doing sick tricks.
Picking up chicks?
No, because he likes the girl.
Oh, right.
Right?
That's right. He bangs the sister.
So he takes the girl. They go to a indoor. What's it called when they have plants?
Botanical garden?
They go to a botanical garden, and he's like, "Oh, yo, these are sick, fucking whatever." So
I
he's
could
like,
do some
he's
sick
like,
tricks off these.
so he does no tricks. What he does is just ride around really fast, and by really fast I mean not really fast. And he's like, "Yo, man," and he's like climbing up stairs and like fucking riding around. And for about a 5 minute montage, she chases him laughing like, "Oh my god, this is so fun!" Right?
Oh, okay.
So
That is.
eventually he has to.
I
There's
don't
one
know,
of the
man. I know how
rivals.
you can start it off with you've got Seth Green and Jack Black in your movie, and then it's
Yeah,
like,
he's his
hey,
cousin.
we
He's like,
chase around a botanical garden.
the movie is literally like the writers took 5 movies, threw them against the wall, and went, "I guess we can figure it out."
We can kind of do this.
Yeah, and then it ends with a race. It ends with a brink race.
Wait, so he's also a surfer. Does him being a
Yes.
surfer have any part to him winning the big race?
No.
Well, that's bad writing.
He brings a surfboard to Cincinnati. He's like, "You're not gonna need that anywhere." He's like, "Well, I
Hang
always
10,
bring the
bro.
I always bring the board with me, man." you know, and he puts it in his basement room that he shares with Seth Green. But no, literally surfing has zero to do with him winning at the end of the movie, because the whole competition is that they keep playing this team from another school in hockey, and they keep losing, and the other team's like a bunch of like preppy guys, right?
It's the Mighty Ducks.
So eventually, it's like half and half between like Brink and like Rad, where it's like
Okay.
he is the sole skater from Brink, and his team are a bunch of like roughneck Cincinnati guys. And eventually, they get challenged to a race, which is called like the Devil's Backbone. Which, if you remember from Rad from a few months back, the name of the course was like Hell Track or something.
That course was not that intense.
Yeah, and the Devil's Backbone was like 15 minutes. Like it was like so fucking long of a race. They go down so many fucking hills. They have to run through a train station or some shit. Like run through a stairwell, go down some steps, like go over
Wait, why are they
here.
racing? I thought they were playing hockey.
Well, they were playing hockey, and then the preppy boy bad guy knocked over the main character. He's like, because he's playing hockey. He's not a hockey player. He like knocked him over. So to get revenge, because he's in fight, he's a surfer boy, no fighting. But to get back, to prove that he has balls, he pantses him in the middle of the game.
So he's
Right?
gay.
So he pants, he walks up behind him or skates up behind him, pulls his pants down. Guy's only wearing a jock strap, right?
So he definitely
And
stares at his ass for a while.
well, it's a crowd. It's a crowd of people from all the high school.
Okay.
And they're all like, "Yo, I see your fucking ball sack," right? And they all laugh at him. and they
Hey, I
start
see your
chasing him.
asshole.
Yeah, and they start chasing the main character. He's like, "Yo, I'm a good skater, bro." So he's like doing like all these fucking tricks and shit, getting away, which leads to the ultimate race,
Okay.
right? And Jack Black's like, "Hey, man, we gotta race them for all the fucking beans." But we're
Beans.
down to we're. He didn't say that. I'm just saying that. Like,
Oh.
we gotta race them for all the fucking money in the pot. But we're down a racer, and we would need you to help us. We would win with you for sure. But the 90% of the race, he's like not in the front. 90% of the race, the main character is losing. It's a group race. It's like fucking 15 people.
Okay.
First team that has 3 people across the finish line wins.
Okay.
Right? And 90% of the race, the main character is like really far behind until the end, where he's like, "What? There's the finish line. There's my guys who can win. Oh, there's those guys. If they win, they cross the line. They're so close. We lose. But I see that there's a truck conveniently placed right below me. I could probably jump off this ledge, land on that truck, and get really close." So he does. Right? But then he's skating. Bad guy's next to him. Bad guy's like, "Yo, fuck this guy.
Wait,
I'm gonna
hold on.
tackle
There's a
him."
bad guy now? Who the fuck is a bad guy?
The same guy, the rival.
Wait, okay. Is this Jack Black? What the hell's.
No,
What happened with Jack
listen.
Black?
You gotta catch up, bro. Right?
Are you talking
You
about the
gotta
Mighty
catch up.
Ducks? Is that what
You,
happened?
you, there are literally, the movie makes no sense. There are bullies from his own school, but he has to team up with them,
So he
right?
teams up with his bullies. That's a terrible message.
And there's bullies from a different school.
How many
You
bullies
know?
has this guy got?
Well, there's the bullies that he bully him for being from his school, and then there's the bad guys that the bullies want to beat from a different school. So it like makes no. It's such a '90s teen shit movie.
I think
But when it was over, Zach, you know what I felt when it was over?
a hemorrhage?
I felt great.
Oh, God.
I was like, this is my shit. This is my jam.
I think my
I
brain
fucking
hurts.
love this. I fucking love this, dude.
Oh my God, it's got a
I fucking
Blu-ray?
I fucking love this
Oh,
so
rad.
much. It's the same thing, baby. It's the same thing. Thunder in your heart.
Brad also made my brain hurt.
I love this movie. So one kid, one dream, one chance to be the best,
You're the best.
to be rad.
around.
So hey guys, we'll see you guys next week, where I explain another '90s extreme action sports movie, and just explain scenes with no context. So, thanks guys.
See
We'll
you
see you next
guys.
week.